Greetings all, Joe Lum here with a brand new album rankings episode. Every Sunday you can expect a new episode of album rankings. As always, when you're done watching this video, you can check out the past rankings episode. The playlist is in the description box. Remember to subscribe to my channel, smash the like button, and click the notification bell. And when you see a new video, you can just check it out yourself. After the last 2 weeks of re-updating 10 ranked albums of 1993 and the most underrated of 1978, it's time I give you my rankings for the top 10 best rock and metal albums of 1994. This was the year metal had to take a backseat to grunge, but metal never really faded away. It wasn't as popular as it was in the 80s. Number 10, Motley Crue. It's been close to 5 years since Dr. Feelgood, and a lot has happened between that album and this one. February of 1992, Vince Neil gets fired or quit from Motley Crue, depending on who you believe, for another lead singer in John Corabi. By the way, this album was the only Crue album that featured Corabi on lead vocals. Despite the fact the songs Hooligans, Holiday, and Misunderstood were the only ones that stand out, the rest of the album fucking trash. At least with songs like Hooligans and Misunderstood, had some redeeming quality. Generation Swine, when Vince Neil returned, only had one with Afraid, while in 2000 with New Tattoo, Motley had no redeeming qualities. Number 9, Sabotage, Handful of Rain. This album is the second in a trilogy of good albums Sabotage put out in the 1990s. It began with Edge of Thorns, their previous record, and it continued with Handful of Rain. The title track, Taunting Cobras and Chants, are my favorite rock tracks on this record. It's noted that it's the only Sabotage record to feature Alex Skolnick from the band Testament on lead guitars, and the last album for drummer Steve Wachholz, who had left the band by the time the album was recorded. It reached number 31 on the Billboard Heat Seekers charts, number 66 in Japan. They were hugely popular in Japan, and originally reached number 85 in Germany. However, in 2022, the album peaked at number 20 on the German charts. Number 8, Dio's Strange Highways. This album was Dio's first in close to 4 years after the disappointing Lock Up the Wolves, and the short-lived reunion with Black Sabbath led to the creation of the album Dehumanizer. By this time, Ronnie Dio and Vinny Appice had put the band back together, but this time with Dawkins' Jeff Pilson on bass and an unknown guitarist by the name of Tracy G. Prior to this album, Tracy G was featured on lead guitar for Manny Lyons' World War III group in 1990. The standout tracks for this one include Jesus, Mary and the Holy Ghost, Hollywood Black, Evolution, and the title track Strange Highways. Number 7, Queensryche, Promised Land. Released on October 18, 1994, Promised Land was the long-awaited follow-up to the multi-platinum Empire record. As of this recording, it's the only Queensryche album to reach number 3 on the Billboard 200, which was their highest charting position, and it went platinum. The standout tracks for this one are the epic title track, I Am I, Bridge, which is Chris DeGarmo's song that he wrote about his dad who died during recording sessions, and Someone Else, a track that featured Jeff Tate on lead vocals while DeGarmo was playing on piano performing the whole song. Another one of my favorite Queensryche albums, in my opinion. Number 6, Megadeth, Euthanasia. Released on the 1st of November of 1994, Euthanasia was Megadeth's 6th studio record, and by the way, there will be a future album review on this one coming up. The record was produced by Max Norman and Dave Mustaine. It reached number 4 on the Billboard 200 and went platinum. Songs like Train of Consequences, Reckoning Day, and Addicted to Chaos really stood out. But there was one underrated gem called A Tout Le Monde. The music video for that song got banned by MTV, as they claimed it as it was a pro-suicide song, but Dave Mustaine refuted that. A Tout Le Monde song was remade 13 years later, featuring Christina Scabbia of Lacuna Coil, retitled A Tout Le Monde Set Me Free, from Megadeth's 2007 record, United Abominations. This album is in my top 3 of favorite Megadeth albums. Number 5, Slayer, Divine Intervention. It's been 4 years since Seasons in the Abyss, and Slayer returned heavier than ever with Divine Intervention. This was the first Slayer album to feature Paul Bostaph on drums. Paul Bostaph was a member of the band Forbidden, and the first Slayer album, to my recollection, to reach the top 10 on the Billboard 200, as it reached number 8. Songs like Killing Fields, Serenity and Murder, Diddlehead, and Sex Murder Art were the songs that stood out for me on this record. Number 4, Green Day's Dookie. Released on the 1st of February 1994, Dookie was produced by Rob Cavallo, and it was Green Day's major breakthrough to the mainstream. This album went on to go double diamond in the US with excess of over 20 million albums sold, thanks to hit songs like Longview, When I Come Around, and Basket Case. Dookie is stylistically labeled as punk rock or pop punk or power pop or skate pop, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I call it a very successful album, and probably the most successful album in Green Day's catalog. Number 3, Soundgarden's Superunknown. Released on March 8, 1994, Superunknown became Soundgarden's most successful album to date, selling 6 million copies in the United States and reaching number 1 on the Billboard 200. It also reached number 1 in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Songs like Black Hole Sun, Fell on Black Days, and Spoon Man were the song's best tracks. Expect an album review on that album as well in the near future. Number 2, Purple from Stone Temple Pilots. Once again, this album was produced by Brendan O'Brien, who produced Pearl Jam's Versus and Vitalogy, which is also released in '94. Stone Temple Pilots' Purple album picked up where Core left off, becoming a commercial success, reaching number 1 on the Billboard 200 and going 6 times platinum. Songs like Big Empty, Vaseline, and Interstate Love Song are the only tracks that stood out from a fantastic record like Purple. And number 1, Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. Released on March 22, 1994, this album became Pantera's fastest selling record, shooting straight to number 1 on the Billboard 200 and reached platinum status. When I did an album rankings video on Pantera, and by the way, you can check that out in the archives, I ranked Far Beyond Driven as my favorite Pantera album, known for killer cuts like I'm Broken, Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, and their cover of Black Sabbath's Planet Caravan, which was freaking awesome to listen to. And the underrated gems like Strength Beyond Strength, 25 Years, and Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills. That album was peak Pantera popularity right there. Here is a quick recap of, in my estimation, the 10 best rock and metal albums of 1994. But don't think for 1 minute that I left out some, because I plan on doing an album rankings video on the most underrated albums of 94 and the most underrated albums of 93 on a future video.